Welcome back to the Fulfilled Female Entrepreneur Podcast. It's your host, Cassandra, and the mission behind this podcast is to help you to create a fulfilling life and business. Today, we are going to be talking about neurolinguistic programming with Kelsey Acres. I want to start this off by thanking you so much for coming on the podcast today.
Thanks for having me, Cassandra. Excited to get into all the different areas we can talk about within this realm.
Yeah, it's such a powerful modality. I use it myself in my business, and it's always special connecting with fellow Canadians. And so
Yeah,
it's a
absolutely.
Canadian
We just
episode
found that
today.
out about each other this morning.
Yeah, I absolutely love it. I'm excited to introduce you to Kelsey. She teaches entrepreneurs how to use their subconscious mind to figure out why they are stuck and scared and shift them into feeling capable and worthy of running a successful business. She uses coaching techniques as well as neurolinguistic programming, hypnotherapy, and emotional freedom technique to support her clients in their transformation. Towards the end of the episode, she's going to be talking about how to ditch your beliefs hurting your business. It's a part of her amazing free gift that she's offering all of you. So you can check out the link in the description of this video or in the show notes to get that free course. Thank you for sharing that with us.
Of course.
And then you can check out all her social media links. She likes to hang out on Instagram, and her handle is Kelsey Acres. I love that. I love the modalities that you use. This is like so important when it comes to business to see how the subconscious really, I think, dictates success when it comes to business. Wouldn't you agree?
It really does. And it's something that I had no idea dictated so much of business when I went into, this education, this background, and also just going into business myself. A very enlightening experience when it comes to how much the subconscious and your overall mindset has to do with your success.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. It's a very important topic and it's very timely. And right before we started recording, I had a session with my client and we're really talking about how, when you start your business, all the fears, all the subconscious programming comes up and it kind of stops you for being able to move forward. Your ego wants to keep you safe and in the comfort zone. So I think when people start their business, they don't realize how much that can dictate how far they're going to be in the success that they will have. So
It
I'm excited
totally
to talk about
does.
that today.
Yeah, entrepreneurship absolutely becomes a personal development journey in itself. It's like it forces you to look inside and tend to all of that internal chaos that so easily gets overlooked in just our current society. We have so many distractions, we have so many other things to focus on outside of ourselves that when we become our own business, right, we're typically selling what we produce or a service from ourselves. It increases, the fears around visibility, your identity, how people see you, and then also what you're capable of.
Yeah, totally. I think that's one of the biggest reasons all of the subconscious stuff comes up because we're so intertwined with being our personal brands and our personal testimonies. But I love to kick off every episode talking about fulfillment since that's the name of the podcast.
Yeah.
What is fulfillment to you?
Yeah, I think fulfillment has been like many different things throughout all the different stages of my life, which is interesting to reflect on because through different stages, it's been friendships, other stages it's been money, other stages it's been relationships, other stages it's been my body and my health, right? And I think now as I've gone through all of those renditions of what fulfillment is to me, it's equal parts all of it. And I think, the word that comes to mind when I talk about that is just peace and feeling peace in all of those different areas, being able to balance them and have those live in harmony because they all matter so much to just every facet of your being, right?
Yeah, I love how you touch on that because there's different seasons in our lives where school can be a priority and friendships and relationships. And I love how you're talking about this stage that you're in. It's the balance of all of it, which I think is really beautiful and the peace within all of it. Because I found in my own personal fulfillment journey, I was so kind of dictating my definition based on the outside and the success in areas and
Absolutely.
the milestones and the achievement. But then now that it's become more of an inward journey for me based on fulfillment and peace and all these things, it's such a different way of embracing this powerful state of being.
Yeah.
And with all that you do, it's such big work and transformational work. What is the most fulfilling part of all of it for you?
I think the most fulfilling part of my work for me, it's hard to choose one because, you know, I love it so much. But I think if I were to choose one, I think it's when someone comes to me struggling with an issue that they don't know how to solve, and maybe they have been able to solve most issues in their life so far. So it feels really scary and out of their control. And to be able to share these pieces of information about how their mind works, about how they interact with the world around them, to shed light on why it's happening, that is so validating just to make sense of it. And then to be able to solve it, really, to be able to get to the root cause of where the problem is coming from and really heal that and move through it and support them through it. I think it's so beautiful. And also, a really special part is, typically people come to me with issues arising in their business life, right? But so many times people have come back and been like, oh my gosh, I thought it was just an issue with my business, but now my relationships are getting so much better. Or now this is happening with, my relationship with myself and my body. It's also intertwined. And it's really interesting how our internal struggles show up in different ways. And so I think the most fulfilling part is, bringing it back to what fulfillment is for me, is it's all interconnected. And so to help someone improve not only one area, but multiple areas of their life is really special.
Yeah, I love how you touch on that interconnectedness. It's interesting when the ripple effect that we create, outwardly to all the different generations and all of that. But then even with one aspect that you make change in, how it affects all of it, I think is really beautiful, and helping people find their own solutions in their own
Exactly.
life
Yeah,
help
it's very
moments.
empowering.
Hmm. Amazing. So, we want to talk a little bit about NLP in this episode. It's such a powerful modality I've used for myself and for my clients, but I'd love to hear from you. What is neurolinguistic programming for someone that's never heard about this powerful technique
Yeah,
and
of
framework?
course. Yeah. And I find a lot of people don't typically know about it. And that was something that was super frustrating for me when I was learning about it, was how late in my life I was learning about all of these tools that could really help me. And I want everyone to hear about them as soon as possible because they can definitely help you. But NLP is a collection of tools and modalities used to communicate with the programming language of our mind. So our subconscious mind is the majority of our mind. It works in, pictures, metaphors, symbols, whereas, our conscious mind, where we're talking, we have language, we have numbers, we analyze things and make those decisions based on our analysis, right? So the subconscious mind is such a different piece of our mind, yet it has so much power and holds so much weight. But the way we communicate with our subconscious mind is different. We can't just talk to it with language. We can't just talk to it, and analyze things and make a decision and make a change. It works differently. And so neurolinguistic programming is a collection of tools that we can use to actually communicate with that piece of our mind, the subconscious, to make the changes that's going to align us with, whether it's the goals we want to achieve, the lifestyle we want to be living. We can make those changes by using these tools to speak with the subconscious.
I love that. I love that it's like this toolbox of all the
It
different
really
ways to
is.
being able to
Yeah,
work with the subconscious. And what are some examples of some of the tools that someone would use to, when they're working with an NLP practitioner for their subconscious? What does that look like for people that
absolutely.
aren't
Yeah.
familiar?
Well, they can be very simple changes to very life-altering changes. And so I'll touch on a couple of them. One of my favorite examples is it's called the swish technique. And this is to change a behavior that someone does. So for me, I chewed my fingernails off my entire life. And I hated that about myself. I did not like that habit. I thought it was gross. Yet, for my fellow nail biters, you know that you cannot help it a lot of the time. And so when I was working through my certification, I was like, okay, I really need to prove that this stuff works to myself. So I got one of my fellow classmates to do this swish technique on me. So for a behavior change. And basically, you change the characteristics of the symbol, right? I mentioned that the subconscious mind communicates with symbols and pictures. So for every behavior, you have a symbol that represents that behavior in your subconscious, and it makes it attractive to you, right? I was technically attracted to biting my nails. And so by changing how that picture looks in my subconscious mind, how big it is, how bright it is, if it's moving, if there's noises, the feelings associated with it, all of those things that relate to our five senses. If we change the aspects of that picture that represents the behavior you want to change, followed by very quick movements in your mind's eye, you actually change your behavior after the fact. And as soon as I finished the technique, it took maybe 20 minutes. And I said, okay, bye, have a nice day. And I was like, I don't really feel any different. I don't, maybe this didn't work. And lo and behold, I have not bit my nails since. And I have very long, strong nails now that I get multiple compliments on, which I never would have thought would have been part of my life, to be complimented on my nails. But it just goes to show, like, a 20-minute technique like that can change a lifelong behavior. And as I mentioned, changing the characteristics of these, symbolic representations in our mind, you can do that for food. You can do that for people if it's appropriate, right? You can go from liking something to disliking it and vice versa. So it's really interesting to kind of open your eyes to understand what's possible in terms of these representations and what they mean to us and how we can make adjustments. So that's kind of on, I would say, the more basic end of what I do with my clients. On the most powerful end, I use time techniques. So it stands for time integration for maximum empowerment. I don't know if you use that in your practice, but I am obsessed with it. It's my favorite tool out there. And so how it works is it helps us release pent up negative emotions and also compounded negative beliefs about ourselves and the world around us. So let's use an example. Maybe someone is struggling in their relationships and struggling with their self-worth, and perhaps they have the limiting belief, nobody likes me, right? I've had experience with clients who have had that belief. I've heard stories from others in the field. So if you have this belief, nobody likes me, you typically really struggle with, school. If you're in school, you struggle with romantic relationships, friendships, because you probably always have an underlying feeling that something's not right. You've done something wrong. You're not liked. Things are, on rocky waters per se. And that can have a really lasting impact in your life. But with time technique, we can actually go back to the root cause of when that belief was formed. So likely it is in early childhood. It can also be in the womb or before that, in a past life or generations before you. It is fascinating how beliefs can transcend those barriers. And so by connecting with the subconscious mind, we can actually go back to the root cause and gain wisdom from your subconscious mind that you have within you. You just weren't able to access it beforehand. And in the process of uncovering that wisdom, you actually shift the belief, right? And so in the experiences of people around me and my own clients, myself, it's been like completely 0 to 100 transformation, right? Because when you rid yourself of that belief, nobody likes me, you open yourself up to opportunities to connect with others, new opportunities for work. If you're in school, new friendships, family relationships improve. Even the relationship you have with yourself would have been impacted by that belief. And so it's really incredible to just see it happening in front of me and facilitate that for people to really experience the true change of a belief.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite techniques too. I think it's so powerful and so potent because you might be showing up and discouraged about not getting likes or not getting people to sign on from a masterclass that you're having. And, being in that energy of disappointment and all of that is so deeply connected to that subconscious response. So
It
it's so
is,
powerful to
yeah.
know how that tool can transform it. And what are some of the other beliefs that you work through with your clients that affect their business and use NLP to be able to work through?
Yeah, all over the map, really. So we've got a lot about ourselves and our identity that comes up most often. So I would say like the most common beliefs I work through with people would be I am not good enough, I am not worthy, I don't deserve this. And a lot around money, right? Like making money is hard, or, I don't deserve money, money makes people bad. We have all of these beliefs from generations before us, society around us, that were all formed before we were even 7 years old, right? When we were children, we were just like sponges to our external environment. So everything we saw happening around us, everything we were taught from our caregivers, teachers, coaches, our parents' friends when we went over for a play date, everything we experienced became like hard truth of how we were then to live the rest of our lives. And that's why we run into all of these challenges as we try to achieve our goals. Is very likely the goals that you're trying to achieve are not the same as your coaches that you had when you were 5 years old, not the same as even your caregivers, right? We want these different lives. We all have our own desires. And so when we're running on these subconscious beliefs and programs that we inherited from everything outside of us, it can get a little clunky. And so, yeah, in business, absolutely around our identity, around money, around what success means. I think I've had a lot of experiences with clients who grew up and they had a friend or family member that was uber successful, but they were really detached from their family, or they weren't showing up, or they were so stressed and miserable because of their work. That then shows up as we, as young women, running our own businesses, we're scared of success because subconsciously, success means I'm not going to be showing up for my family. I'm going to be working all hours of the day. I'm going to be stressed. I'm going to be tired. And, instinctually, that's not what we want to experience. So there's a disconnection there. And that's what shows up most often, is that disconnection of, okay, this is what I'm working toward, but something's not aligning. And we're typically able to find something that's happened in the past, something that they were witness to that caused that belief misalignment.
Yes, I can think about the ones I've uncovered for myself and for my clients, like being bullied for being different and then
Yeah,
holding back from kind of shining my light with the world was something that completely affected my business. Just even
absolutely.
having curly hair and being, made fun of for having curly hair affected the way that I was
Yeah.
showing up in business. So, do you want to walk through from like the infancy stage of like an event that happens when we're really young and then how that affects the way that we show up in business, just to kind of give people a little bit more of a framework of how it's all connected and how that could look like for
Of
them?
course. Yeah, absolutely. An example that stands out to me in my mind as you just spoke through that was I had a client long ago who was, running her business and had some investment, right? Had some money that she got to grow her business, right? And it was running out quickly, and she wasn't seeing a lot of change, and she wasn't seeing a lot of benefit from it. She was really frustrated. She's like, "What's going on? This makes no sense," right? And so we started working together, and found that she actually came from an underprivileged family who ended up moving from Eastern Europe to the United States in times of need. And so that really tumultuous time in her life where she experienced having not enough and running out of money and having that constant fear that things were just going to get pulled out from under her was showing up in her business with this large sum of money that she was granted, right? And so the fear that there's never going to be enough and there's always going to be something that goes wrong and we're always going to run out really impacted her ability to utilize that sum of money. And so by shifting those beliefs, right, going back to that time in their life when she was really young, we were able to release that. And she's had so much success since. It's been so much fun to watch after, going through that really vulnerable transformation with her.
That's amazing. It's amazing to have that understanding of, hey, this is the way it's showing up in the now, but this is where it comes from, and getting to the root of that and being able to transform it.
Yeah. And for
So,
her going through that, she was like, oh my gosh, that makes so much sense. I never saw it that way before. But of course, how could that not have an impact on me? Right. From
yeah.
such a young age.
By using these techniques, I have to say that one of my favorite parts is that light bulb moment of
Yeah.
understanding what at the root is affecting it. And kind of this example that's kind of coming through to be shared is, we see the flower sticking out of the ground, but the foundational part is the roots, right? So if the flower
Yeah.
is not shining so bright and it looks like the petals are all falling, right? It's because of the roots
Yeah,
and
it's
how
not the
that's being
flower's
planted.
fault.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not in the right environment. It doesn't have the right support system, right? Absolutely.
Not getting the water, not getting the sunlight to be able to have it to thrive, yes, is key and important. That's what triggers it, but it all comes down to like the root
Yeah.
cause, right? If the
That's
roots aren't deep in the ground, they're going to come down if there's a big
yeah.
windstorm that be able to come through, right?
Absolutely. That's so funny that you shared that analogy because I always share the analogy that our subconscious mind is like soil, right?
Ah,
And with, the proper sunlight and water, it will grow whatever is planted in the soil. And, as I was just speaking about, growing up from a young age, all of these things that we were taught, what we saw and what we experienced and heard, those are seeds being planted in the soil in our mind, right? And they're going to continue to grow and repeat themselves unless we tend to the garden, right? Unless we dig out the weeds that we don't want to experience anymore and plant the flowers or vegetables or whatever you want to grow that support the garden we actually want to see grow, or can be compared to the life we actually want to be living.
I love that. I love that. My middle name is Rosa, so I use rose imagery a lot in
Yeah, there's a rose
my
behind you.
branding. Yeah, yeah, and then I have a rose behind me in my imagery, so it completely resonates. So, just to kind of sum this all up, what do you feel are like the three key benefits and like reasons why people should work with an NLP practitioner and harness the power of this beautiful technique and modality?
Yeah, absolutely. So 3 reasons. I would say, first of all, and maybe you don't even need to work with an NLP coach right away, but just the awareness of the power of your subconscious mind, I think, is the best first step anyone can take. Like I said, I was so frustrated when I was learning about the subconscious mind because of how late in my life I was learning about it, and how much of an impact it has on me. So I would say first step, absolutely. Broaden your horizons, open up your awareness, learn about your mind, learn about the impact it has on your life. And I think just that awareness in itself will help you start to make different decisions, right? That it did for me, for sure, in my relationships, in my relationship with myself, how I spent my time, what I thought about. Learning about the mind really had an impact. And then the next piece, I would say, it's really difficult when you're stuck in a box of struggle. Maybe you're going through a challenge, maybe you're, struggling with some issue in your business, in your life, whatever it might be. It's very hard to see outside of yourself. It is very difficult when we're in our own minds, living in our own reality, struggling with these things, to see what is actually going on because we're in the problem. And so to have someone who is not only educated in, the principles of the subconscious mind, who's educated in NLP, to just talk to you and not only, validate your experience, which we've mentioned several times in this conversation, but to help you see what could also be going on that was likely outside of your awareness currently as you're struggling with that, is incredibly helpful. And, a lot of times, even without doing an NLP technique with a client, just the conversation and just the realization of where the struggle is coming from, how it's showing up, all of those pieces really helps the client see their life from a different perspective. And it also helps them be able to pinpoint where struggles can be coming from, outside of what we even talked about in the session. I've had clients email me after a session saying like, oh my gosh, now I can see how this is showing up. Now I know why this is happening, because that's just not something that was in their awareness beforehand. And it's a huge tool to navigate, life inside your brain and then life as you interact with people outside of you. And then the third, I think it rings true just based on our conversation about especially the timeline technique, is that you can reprogram and you can release negative beliefs that have really impacted you from potentially the very beginning of your life. These beliefs that really dictate how you interact with the world and the success that you see, especially those beliefs, I am not enough. I think all of us have felt that from time to time. And all of us, despite the work that we've done, continue to feel that sometimes just because of the world we're living in. Unfortunately, these are the circumstances. And we are oftentimes made to feel like we're not good enough when that is simply so far from the truth. However, me saying that is so far from the truth. I'm just talking to your conscious mind. Your subconscious is like, okay, Kelsey, I want to believe you, but I don't.
Mm-hmm.
But NLP is one of those tools that can really help you transform that.
I love that. Yeah, having that awareness, there's a quote, forgive me, I don't remember who said it, but like
That's
awareness
okay.
is always the first step for change, right? Being able to transform and create that transformation in yourself so you're able to do that for your business, which I think is so, so key. So, what do you feel like personally, bringing this back to your story, how has NLP changed your life and your business?
Yeah, I think, I'm just saying, just circling back to what we just said, the awareness piece,
Mhm.
totally the awareness piece, because while I've had, NLP techniques done on me, those have been impactful as well. And I think just the knowledge of how it all works and how it all fits together helps me in my day-to-day life be able to recognize, okay, I'm feeling a certain way, or I have a certain story running through my mind, or this just happened with so and so, and now I'm making it mean something. To be able to kind of like zoom out and pull myself out of the problem and think, okay, based on the principles of the subconscious, based on this awareness I have about how beliefs impact how I feel and how I perceive what's going on, what's the negative belief attached to this? Or what's the story that I'm telling myself? What am I making it mean about
Mhm.
me? And where is that coming from? The control I have felt since being able to do that has been so incredible, because I can pull myself out of the problem, right? I'm an NLP practitioner. I still deal with all these problems too. We're only humans, right?
Mhm.
But to be able to remove myself from the problem and see it from a different perspective, even without solving the problem per se, it just changes how I'm able to approach things and how I'm able to deal with them. And that has been probably the most life-changing piece of having NLP as a part of my life.
Yeah, no, I love that, being a fly on the wall in your own life and stepping out of the emotion of all of it and the
Yeah.
stories and the cycles to be able to have a bird's eye view and be able
Because
to switch
boy,
that.
oh boy, can humans get stuck in those feelings and
Yes.
stories and cycles, and they really will keep repeating unless you intervene, right? And so becoming aware and intervening as soon as possible is my biggest advice to
Yeah.
anyone out there with any type of struggle. Just become aware of what's going on and get support if you need it, because there are people out there that know more than you, and you deserve to get support from them, right? If they can help you and they can teach you, I think that's absolutely worthwhile.
Yes, I love that. This has been an amazing conversation, and you're so
Yeah,
graciously gifting the listeners and the viewers your free course, which is Ditch Beliefs Hurting Your Business. Can you give us like a short and succinct explanation of what they can expect for it, where to find it?
absolutely. Yeah. So this is going to be for anyone who is experiencing any fear, resistance, any uncomfy or sticky feelings as they navigate growing their business. So it's just a short video lesson to kind of give you that awareness and explain where things might be coming from and how your mind works in accordance with that. And then there are nice long journal prompts so you can work through them, right? We're going to be asking questions about what are the feelings? What are you making it mean about yourself? What story is this reinforcing? And then we go through some steps to start to shift that belief. So in the process of the course, you start from the point of struggle, understand where it's coming from and what the belief might be, and then get some tools to start to shift that.
Amazing, so powerful, and it's so beautiful that you're gifting that to everyone. So just see the description of the video or the show notes to be able to, take part in it and really go deep in your experience of this beautiful offering that Kelsey has so graciously gifted you. And I know you love to hang out on Instagram as well. Do you want to share your handle and where they can connect with you?
Yeah, absolutely. So my handle is just my first and last name, Kelsey Acres. And yeah, you can send me a DM if you want. Love to chat with people. If you want to share what you're going through or how the free course went for you, I'm absolutely open to chatting about that. Feel free.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Kelsey, for coming on and
You're so
sharing all of your
welcome. Thanks for
wisdom. It's been so
chatting. You are
fun.
so lovely.
Oh, thank you. Thanks for watching the video. If you enjoyed it, please give it a big thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Hit the notification bell so you'll be notified every time I'll upload a new video on Thursday. See you in the next one. Bye.